It's Monday, July 21st, and those of you who've listened to me over the years know I have a particular love of talking to adventurers. Do we ever have a trio of adventurers today on Just Wondering? When we're back, we introduce you to the rowing Scottish brothers Ewan, Lachlan, and Jamie McLean.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Eyeing retirement? We aim to turn your nest egg into a paycheck with half the amount you've been led to believe. Fluent Financial combines in-house portfolio design risk management with income-generating investments designed to aid your financial independence. Our goal is to develop an effective portfolio strategy to help you retire sooner and have a better lifestyle. Fluent Financial can also implement a program that allows business owners to install a cash balance plan, which may potentially reduce income tax payments. You've worked hard to become successful. Let us help develop an effective portfolio strategy that works for you. Learn more today about Fluent Financial. Retire sooner, better lifestyle. For more information or to schedule a meeting, visit fluentfinancial.com or call 972-852-4800.
I'd like to introduce you all in the audience to three of our world's great adventurers. They are from Scotland. They're brothers. This is Ewan, Jamie, and Lachlan McLean. They are between 26 and 33 years old. They join us from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, where they are attempting to set a record in rowing the nearly 9,000 miles from Lima, Peru to Sydney, Australia. Hello, lads, and thank you for your time.
Hello, Norm. Thank you so much for having us on.
What an intro.
Yeah, best intro we've had. We need to get you.
Yeah, we need you for every conversation we have.
So, who will be doing most of the talking and who's rowing while we're talking?
So I'm Jamie, middle brother. We've got Lachlan here. Ewan is on the oars currently. He's keeping the boat on its course. So Lachlan and I will take turns answering any questions and doing the talking.
That's great. Approximately where are you in the Pacific now?
So, Norm, we are currently, so we've just passed Tonga, and we're in the South Pacific. We just passed Tonga, Fiji. We've actually probably just entered, we're very close to Fiji now. So we've passed one of the islands, and then, over the next kind of few hundred miles, we'll be hopefully leaving Fiji to the north of us, and then dipping down, and the next kind of big target is the island of New Caledonia off the coast of Australia.
So you'll have passed or are passing north of New Zealand and will proceed then towards Sydney Harbour.
Exactly, yeah. We're a fair bit north of New Zealand. I mean, from a longitudinal perspective, we will pass directly above, but we'll be a few thousand miles up north of New Zealand. We're still quite, we've had pretty mixed conditions over the last few weeks, which unfortunately they haven't all been favourable, and it's pushed us quite far north. So as it stands, we've got a deep dive to get down to Sydney. So we've got a big push south and west to make our final destination. I mean, there is a chance, that weather, obviously, like a voyage like this is very much weather permitting, and where we make landfall will be dependent on what the conditions are like for the next 4 weeks.
This began in early May, and you're hoping to complete this journey in about 120 days. Are you on schedule pretty much so now?
It was actually before the beginning of May. It was the 12th of April is when we set off. So we've been, we started the trip before Easter. We had Easter on the boat, which feels like a world away. I mean, I guess it is almost half a world away. But I think we're currently on, I think we'll be hopefully between 120 and 130 days. our target was always around that. The current speed record is 159 days. So, I mean,
Oh,
hopefully we'll come in under that. You know, anything can happen out here. It could be 120, 30 days. It could be 150 days. It depends. I mean, Jamie mentioned we had an anticyclone a few weeks ago, so we could have more weather like that, and you're at the mercy of the elements out here. That's for sure.
well, let me stop right here. An anticyclone? What is that?
I mean, it's kind of what it says on the tin. It's a cyclone, but going in the opposite direction. So generally speaking, cyclones move in a clockwise fashion, and an anticyclone, it was just moving in the opposite direction. But it was pretty hairy. You know, these big, high winds, big waves. The biggest conditions the three of us have ever seen, for sure. We rode across the Atlantic 5 years ago, and we saw some pretty big conditions then, but it was nothing like a few weeks ago out here. It was pretty gnarly, but we survived to tell the tale. We a few bruises and bumps. Lachlan actually got washed overboard, which we can go into the details of how we got him back on board. But it was yeah. We've got a few stories to tell post cyclone, that's for sure.
Well, listeners should know that this isn't the first grand adventure in rowing for the McLean brothers. They have become the first three brothers to ever row across oceans. They're the youngest and the fastest ever to row from the Canary Islands to Antigua. So I've got to ask, people fall in love with gambling or jogging or cooking. How and when does this fascination with rowing begin?
No, we did the Atlantic once,
Oh,
but we got those. It was three records that we broke in that crossing.
okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a very good question. I think the Atlantic for us, we didn't come from a background in rowing or doing this kind of thing. We're very much so just three ordinary brothers. We had our upbringing was in kind of the northwest of Scotland, where we our grandpa restored this little ruin in a place called Assynt, and we went there. We spent most of our childhoods up there, and there was no TV, there was no internet, there was no phone connection. So I think our kind of love for adventure and I suppose getting up to no good was founded there. We also, being on the coast, we had little boats that we'd go out and, I remember one time in particular that we went out and the outboard, we had it was like a open top, a boat called a Rascom Lugger. There you go. And with a 4 horsepower engine. And we went out around the coast. I think I was about 5. Jamie was maybe 9, and Ewan was 11. And the outboard engine cut out, and we started getting, we were getting blown, around the coast, and we had to row. We had to row all the way back in, and it took us, I think, 5-6 hours to come back in. And oh, I've just seen a fin. There's a fin in front of me. Wow. Oh
That,
wow.
that-
Oh, I think.
let me stop you
Oh,
right there.
Norm, I
Fins
wish
aren't fins aren't necessary good news.
that is huge.
It's a big old.
It's a
mullet.
big old marlin behind us, Norm.
Oh,
I wish I could turn around. I wish I could show you. That's huge. Wow, it's about 5 feet
I
long.
hope it doesn't go for the rudder.
That is a big fish. Wow. Oh my goodness. It's getting really close. Sorry, Norm. This is
Derailed the podcast.
this has derailed it. But yeah, we've actually.
Oh, there's a couple.
Oh wow, that is huge. Jeez. So
well,
these fish they have been known to attack rowing boats. They, marlin, they've got a massive, big, long tusk coming out the front of their face, and this is a massive marlin. I've never seen anything like that. This is so yeah. Anyway, sorry. It's about 10 feet away. We can see two fins. I can see its tip. It's two. No, I think it's one. I think it's one.
Just one massive.
Yeah. Anyway, so Norm, these fish, they've been known to attack rowing boats. So they think. I think people reckon that it's because we've got this tape on the hull of the boat, and it's called solas tape. and it reflects kind of like, I think it looks like a little fish to the marlin. And so there's been about a dozen cases of marlin actually spearing the sides of rowing boats and putting holes right through them. So we took that into consideration when we'll tell you about the boat. We helped in the building of this boat, and we decided to. I mean, it was one of the reasons. It was also storage. But we've got a double skinned hull, so we've got two layers of carbon in the hull, and that is so that if we did get speared by a marlin like this, it wouldn't come into the cabin. It would just fill that locker, and then we'd be able to repair it. But this is I've never seen anything like this. This is amazing. Anyway, we should focus back on the conversation. If I lurch awkwardly, it's because we've been speared by a marlin.
And we'll have it recorded for you.
Yeah.
I've got so many individual questions. Let me start ticking these off fairly quickly.
Of course. Yeah.
It is always at least one of you rowing.
Yeah. So we are moving 24/7, 7 days a week, 24/7. There is always at least one person on the oars. Through the night, we each do a third of the night each solo. So you do it one up. And then during the day, we're now in the day shift. The sun came up about an hour ago, and we will row. It basically depends on the difference it makes having two rowers as opposed to one. If the speed difference is negligible, if it's like 0.1, 0.2 of them a knot, then we might just go one up, and then the other two will stand, because we're generally speaking, we're rowing with the wind, and so standing, you get windage, and it makes the boat go a bit faster. So that's the routine. It's non-stop, it's unsupported. There's no vessel with us. We've seen about 4 boats in the last 6,000 miles. So we're very much so on our own, and we're moving continuously. We're moving non-stop through the day and through the night.
So, in a 24-hour period, how much sleep might each of you get?
We will get, on average, we're getting about 4.5 to 5.5 hours. And those 4.5 to 5.5 hours, they're broken into two. We each have, actually, Ewan and I have 2 sleeps. So we each have, it's a 3-hour window for resting. But in that window, you have to, get your clothes. You need to kind of get ready. You always have about half an hour of faff either side, or 15 minutes either side. And then Jamie's actually he's got 3 windows. So we kind of break up the windows into 90-minute segments. So you try and get 1 sleep cycle. And then, if possible, you get 2 sleep cycles. But to be honest, we wake up every 90 minutes anyway. And that's been for the last 95 days. Yeah, we've not had more than kind of 2.5 hours of sleep.
And you have no support vehicle following you at all?
None whatsoever. Nah, none. So yeah, that's the thing. We're trying to do this voyage non-stop but unsupported. So it's just us. We've got to take all the provisions we need for what could be 5-6 months at sea. And we've got the boat's an amazing piece of kit, but one of the pieces of kit that we have, the lifeline on the boat is our water maker. So we have a desalinator, so that allows us to make it water when it's when we've got enough sun to power the batteries. We collect the energy through solar panels on the deck, and that powers the water maker. So that allows us to produce water to drink, to hydrate, but also to rehydrate our freeze-dried space food.
And between Lima and Sydney, you will not stop at land anywhere?
Not at all. Nah, no. As tempting as it has been, we've gone through some. We've passed by what must be some of the most beautiful islands in the world. The Marquesas, Bora Bora, Tahiti, Tonga, and now coming up Fiji. Some closer than others. We were really quite close to the Marquesas, which were that was the first land that we saw in about 50 days. So they were around halfway. Before that, we left Lima. It was open ocean for 50 days. But then we got quite close to the Marquesas, and just due to the weather, we had to pass through in between the islands instead of going south of them. And it was quite exciting because we had a very, very narrow strip of water. There's the very narrow strip of international water between these two islands of about zero point 0.7 of a nautical mile. So we were trying to stick in this very sliver between the two islands, but it meant we got to see these just incredible land masses kind of just shooting out of the ocean, these big green tall cliffs. Just amazing. I mean, thankfully we haven't passed close enough, so close that we see someone on the beach with a beer, because I think that would just be a bit too
Tip us over the edge.
Someone might pull the plug then. But yeah, no, we're not stopping. We haven't stopped yet, and the plan is not to stop until we hit Australia.
Are any of you married?
No, we're not.
And we haven't figured out why, I don't know. What do you reckon?
I think I could suggest one reason, but let's move on. I want people to know this isn't just some kind of joy ride out on the ocean for the McLean brothers. You have a major charity reason for being out there. Please tell us what it is.
Of course, Norm. So I mean, the reason we're doing this, the Atlantic trip that we did a few years ago, that was very much so more of a, we wanted together to do something unbelievable, and kind of ordinary people trying to do something extraordinary. And we raised a load of money through that crossing. We raised about £200,000, and that went towards the majority of that money went towards clean water projects in Madagascar. So boreholes in rural parts of the southeast of Madagascar. And this specific campaign, that has really been the focus. We've got a target of raising £1 million. We've since the Atlantic, we've been to Madagascar a few times, and we've got to know we've set up a charity called the McLean Foundation, and we're essentially, we've got a delivery partner out there, so they install all the projects. But yeah, we've been out and we've seen it. I think, Norm, you might be able to relate with this, but it's interesting. I think a cause like water, the importance of it in Scotland, we've got too much water. It's always bloody raining, and people struggle, I think, and we struggle to get our heads around, why is it so fundamentally important? And I think it's only going to a place like Madagascar. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. It's got 5% of the world's biodiversity is in Madagascar, so it's a really important place, but it's unbelievably poor. And clean water is a foundational step to bringing a community out of poverty. And we've seen that. Sadly, we've seen that because we've seen communities where they've got a borehole, they've got a clean water source, and then we've also seen another community that doesn't, and it's really seen in the kids. I think dirty water affects children the most, because in Madagascar, 20% of children don't actually get to their 5th birthday because of waterborne diseases. It's a really, really terrible problem, and you see kids with, quite often they've got a big swollen belly. They're really, really thin, really malnourished, but they've got a big hot belly, and it's literally because they've got a belly full of worms, and these parasites are taking all the nutrients out of the food. So I think it's only seeing things like that. That's what's motivating us. That's what got us through the anticyclone. It's what is getting us through the days, the tough times. It's our kind of North Star to take us west and take us to Australia.
How does someone watching or listening contribute?
Yeah, so if anyone would like to make a donation to our clean water charitable fundraiser, you just need to go to themacleanbrothers.com. It's MACLEAN, and there's loads of links on there on how to donate to our Give Star fundraising page, and it's 100% of those donations are going to the cause. Going to clean water projects, and it's remarkable because as little as 50 US dollar, 30 pounds, approximately that gives one person clean water for life. As little as that gives someone clean water for life. So it's really it's such a tangible cause, and you essentially just get such good bang for your buck. A small donation can make a lifetime of difference.
And it's worth mentioning there, Norm. We actually also we're working with there's an organization called TrustBridge Global, and it allows us to take international donations and offer a tax receipt in that country. So we can actually take US donations, particularly slightly larger donations, like $500 up, and we can offer a tax receipt because I know that's a big, that's of real interest to US donors and Aussie donors in particular. Yeah, and that's on the website. So that's on the donate page. There's an option to for international donations. So on the McLeanbrothers.com.
That's part one of our episodes with the Rowing McLean brothers. Again, if you'd like to contribute, the website is the Maclean, MACLEAN, brothers.com. Our special thanks to our producer, Mike Matern, who has been on this subject for weeks now, trying to set up this interview with the McLean brothers. Wednesday, you can't believe the other topics we get into with the McLean brothers. In 1993, Bob Samble opened the original Bob's Steak and Chop House on Lemon Avenue. 32 years later, the original Bob still greets you at the original Bob's. And now his sparkling new Bob's in Craig Ranch and McKinney has opened. Same fantastic beef and fresh seafood at these two Bob's, each run by Bob. Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Today's episode has been brought to you by Fluent Financial. Retire earlier, live better. And by Bob's Steak and Chop House on Lemon in Dallas and in Craig Ranch in McKinney. Bob's, a Dallas tradition for more than 30 years.
If you've enjoyed Just Wondering, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will land in your mailbox early every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. Should you know a sports fan who might like our work, please share our contact information with that person. Just Wondering is technically directed by my wife Mary, who is also occasionally a talent on the show. It's produced by Mike Matern, edited and posted by Ashley Bullington. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering. I'm Norm Hitzges, and know that every day I'll be just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitzges, and I'll just be wondering too.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.